For this particular, and of course, all the other MDAs that are present here. I want Honorable Minister to indicate to you the key partners that we report that we will be sharing today. Can we appreciate UNICEF and the country representative is here? Honorable Minister, we have the private sector founding in Badrun Tege, but the former vice is here, the Honorable Victoria Sechileko. So we want to appreciate the private sector foundation for being here with us. Chico Chailap is here, and my Undersecretary, Doctor, is also here. He's my boss today, so I'll be extremely careful because Dr. appreciate Dr. Edward Sengozi for putting this together. I want to recognize all the commissioners who are here in this room. Commissioners, we want to recognize all the commissioners here. I'll begin with Mr. Joseph Enyimu, who is the commissioner for EDPR, Economic Development and Policy and Research. Joseph, I think I saw him arrive. We have Hannington Ashaba, Commissioner Isingoma Hussein, responsible for audit. I see he's around. And finally, Muhei, this is a very difficult name. Sometimes I see commissioners present here. And finally, Honorable Minister, one of the heads of our MDAs is here, the Executive Director of the National Housing and being broadcast live on UBC and other partners. And I will only mention UBC for obvious purposes. I want to now take the
Thank you very much, Maurice. The Honorable Minister of the docket of the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Madam Anite Kajik. I had to be reminded. The various heads of government institutions, society organizations, the senior technical officers of the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development and other government institutions, the members of the media, all of you, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ugandans, good morning to you all. First of all, I take this opportunity to welcome all of you who are here in the room and all of those who are out there streaming into this function to the launch of the budget month for the financial year 2024-2025. In accordance with our laws which govern us when we are preparing the budget, in particular the Public Finance Management Act of 2025 as amended, the process of preparing the budget started in September last year. September 2023, that's when we started this process, which is still ongoing. And this involved very wide consultations with all key stakeholders, including His Excellency the President, first and foremost. Then the Cabinet, the Parliament, the civil society organizations, ministries and including business representatives and investment organizations, the academia. We also consulted community leaders. We consulted the youth and women groups, the persons with disabilities, as well as average citizens. We held very wide consultations. The input from these consultations informed the budget, which we prepared for the coming financial year 24-25. And the theme of this budget, as you already know, we are continuing with the theme we've had in the previous 2 years. Full monetization of the Uganda's economy through commerce, digital transformation, and market access. The detailed budget framework paper, as well as the draft estimates for the next financial year, were prepared and submitted to Cabinet and Parliament for approval. And on Thursday of 16th May this year, Parliament approved the budget for next year. The appropriation bill is before the HE, the President, for assent. And we are sure that he will do that as he always does. Next year, we want to continue investing in the people of Uganda through human capital development, education, health care, water for human consumption, and other amenities that make our lives as Ugandans better. Number 3 is the construction of the standard gauge railway as well as the meter gauge railway revamp. We are revamping the meter gauge. Those who are living on the line, you see the kind of work ongoing. We are continuing and finalizing it, including now the Tororo Gulu section. But also we are starting the SGR. Very soon you will see government signing the contract and works beginning. Number 4, we are investing in wealth creation initiatives, such as the parish development, also supporting micro businesses by giving money to various circles through the microfinance support center. We are also continuing with the youth support projects, which are implemented particularly by putting in place the industrial hubs being built by the State House, among other wealth creation initiatives. This coming year, actually, we are also supporting large commercial farmers so that they are able to produce at a relatively higher level. The other priority is maintenance of the existing infrastructure. We've scaled down a bit on building new roads and maintain the big stock of tarmac roads we've put together, and also those dry weather roads we have across the country, so that they are well maintained. We are also prioritizing science, technology, and innovation to propel the knowledge economy, among others. Now, these priorities are in support of the key growth drivers that are going to help. Very soon we shall also launch it officially, and we all know what we are going to do in the next 1.5 decades of propelling the economy from about $55 billion to $550 billion in our lifetime. Now, by implementing these initiatives, government, and those initiatives are 5 of them, what we call the EGAS, science, technology, and innovation, or what we call the knowledge economy. Those are the 4 key areas which we have identified as ATMs. You know, the ATM is for giving you money. Now we have ATMs for Ugandan economy, which are going to give us money in the next 15 years. Agro-industrialization. You want to make money in Uganda, invest in there. Government will be supporting you. Tourism development. We want to augment agenda. You want to make money, invest in tourism development. Government will support you. We have our mineral-based industrial development. All these minerals we have, from gold to tin to phosphates and so many others, you know them. Uganda is endowed to them, plus oil and gas. You want to make money and you go in there, government will support you. You are an innovator, a young man somewhere, want to innovate and create a new value out of intellectual property, out of, thinking in another way, in a chaotic way, but very productive way, government is going to support you. We are also continuing to control borrowing, especially for those things which do not add to these 4 areas we have talked about, plus of course the infrastructure. We are not going to be borrowing for them. We are going to ensure more efficiency and effectiveness in use areas. We are doing this, although we don't in the government over talk about certain issues. I hear a lot of complaints on how some of the government entities spend money. I want to assure you that every revenue that is collected from Ugandan is going to be accounted for going forward. And we have a very good strategy for that, as we are going to learn in this month. So this National Budget Month, it is one of those areas we want to use to get to you, to understand that preparing a good budget is just one thing, but it requires effective engagement of the key stakeholders in the implementation. It requires effective monitoring and oversight of the budget so that we get. It is against this background that this Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in collaboration with our budget transparency and accountability partners, some of whom are here in the room, we annually organize the National Budget Month, during which purposive engagements are undertaken to effectively communicate the budget. The government has walked this journey with the civil society organizations since 2018. During the budget month, to know what is in this budget. And in that, we are going to do the following. Number 1, provide full disclosure of the budget content. What is in the budget? Fully disclosed to everybody. The budget is a public, document. Some of this information is buried in so much detail. The team at my ministry, working with our partners, civil society, and civil society, they are always nosy and they want to go and look for those things which perhaps the naked eye may not look at. I'm very happy that we are working together to have this full disclosure. Number 2, explain in simple language what the budget entails, so that all Ugandans understand the budget in your language. In Uganda, the Baganda will go to all radios. Those who are in Chigezi, I have so many Bachiga, will come and explain in Runyachigezi, Runyachitara, what this budget is all about. In Iteso, my deputy is around. We will come and speak all of the to ensure that the people of Uganda understand the budget in the language. In West Nile, I can't forget. Otherwise, I might cause problems. We are coming everywhere in Uganda, all corners, in the language we understand. Number 3, to account to the people of Uganda about our earlier commitments. Government is going to ensure that all of those promises and commitments government made in the past budget are accounted for. This is what we've done. We promised this is what we've done. That's the only way we are going to have John to go and collect tax when the people of Uganda know where their tax is going. And I want to tell you, we shall account for every penny because we have the numbers and also the results on the ground. We need also to obtain feedback from the citizens. What do you think about this budget? So that we can inform future budgets and policies. The budget shouldn't be a ritual. It should be a dynamic initiative where the citizens must contribute. Where you see that we need to change something, now the budget month is the opportunity to give us that feedback. So the above initiatives have enabled government in the past to interact with the citizens on the budget-related matters and to improve budget transparency. Uganda's budget is fully open to public scrutiny, to parliamentary scrutiny. Before I conclude, I should summarize for you the key activities we are going to implement during the month. In this year's month, budget month, which we are launching today, we plan to undertake the following activities. Number one, we are going to conduct a pre- and post-budget speech media engagement on topical issues on the budget and the economy. And this engagement will include a series of activities carried out from Wednesday, that is tomorrow, 5th of June 2024, to Tuesday, 12th June. We shall have these pre-budget engagements, and then after reading the budget also we shall have more. Then we shall have the budget reading on the Thursday of 13th of June 2024. My Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development will present, enable everybody to understand this budget speech. Number three, we shall have post-budget speech dialogues, and these will include the post-budget East African Community Tax and Debt Dialogue, as well as the National Dialogue on Tax Measures for next year. Media institutions, because they are our key partners in communicating this budget, and we work together to ensure that we communicate the budget the way it is, so that Ugandans can take full advantage. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank very heartily our partners for the close collaboration which we have had in promoting good governance in the budget process. The budget of Uganda is a pro-people budget. We would want to continue working together to ensure that the people themselves, they are really owning the budget. Where there are things which are not addressing their concerns, we know them and we address or remove them. I thank you very much for listening to me.
That's not how we appreciate someone who has given us all the assurances that we are very stable and all is well. But before I move on, I wanted to recognize the presence of our Director, Economic Affairs, Moses Kagwa. Thank you, sir, for joining us. And PSST, thank you for introducing us to the biggest ATM. And I hope everyone watching us and joining us for this launch of the National Budget Month begins to appreciate the direction and the pillars under which, if you're involved in the ATM or the sector, tourism development, mineral-based industrial development, which of course in there under minerals is oil and gas, we can now begin, including members of the Fourth Estate. I think now we know where to go for those of us who are retiring out of the Fourth Estate. I want to appreciate those of you already sharing this conversation. You can tag the Ministry of Finance in your engagement, and we should be able to revert to you in case there is a question or comment. Representative of the civil society organizations. I'm not sure if it's Julius or Dr. Arthur who is coming. Please welcome with me, ladies and gentlemen, Julius Mukoni.
Acting in charge of finance and economic development, planning and economic development, the PSST, the chair, Uganda Network, the deputy PSST. You are welcome to this to our National Budget Month. Honorable Minister, appreciating the budget process. We are happy today that the conversation on the budget is much more deeper than what it was 10 years ago. We are glad that the budget information, if you recall, Honorable Minister, there used to be a statement in the budget speech those days when the minister has read and he would say, and this takes effect immediately tonight. Midnight. Thank you. Because that was what it was. Even members of parliament didn't know what was in the budget until it was read. But today, I'm happy that even by the time the minister is going to read, we already have 99% of the budget known on what is going to happen. This increases our engagement efforts. It increases our engagement efforts. It makes us debate from an objective point of view, but also it helps us understand the challenge we face in this country. We are here because, Honorable Minister, this event promotes transparency and accountability, that everything is in open, and I support the PSST for saying that our budget is as open as the Bible. Partly important also, this is the moment for, because when you look at it, you realize that there are certain things that we really need to look out for. And for me, on top of what he says, that is something that is important and productive. That every diplomat in this country must have a KPI. How much of Ugandan products are you selling in your country? If you are not doing the best, pack your bags back, you come back home, and you can send my brother Arthur to go and become a diplomat and sell our things. We are not short of people to sell our products. For me, that's very key and very important. Honorable Minister, as we go into this National Budget Month activities, it is also important to tell Ugandans the challenges we face as a country. So that these politicians, once you go in the villages, we need not to lie to people. We need to tell people exactly what is happening. So that if they want an extra road or they want an extra district, they should know the constraints that the government is facing. That we don't have a blank check, that we are constrained in terms of spending our money, doing more. And we have a debt issue that we need to make sure that we strongly manage it. If we keep asking for more, it becomes a very big challenge. As such, I thank you, Minister of Finance, for keeping this activity on your calendar. Some time back, we thought it was not going to be there, but thanks that we have more supporters within the ministry, that this activity still remains and remains live. Let me take the opportunity to ask my brother Arthur to make also the final remarks. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ndugu Julius. the Honorable Minister, the UNICEF rep, the Permanent Secretary, Chairman UDN, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Dr. Binomsha, and I come here to represent ACCORD, Advocates Coalition for Development and Environment. My speech, my brother has given a very good speech. I may be a bit controversial. Allow me to speak the inconvenient truth so that we can move forward. I just Minister of Trade for 3 days, so we're a different category of people because 3 days we are looking at the challenges. And so, but also we looked at the opportunities, PS, so we'll talk about that. But let me start by appreciating the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and indeed the government of Uganda for this country. This is a very good thing, and I think Uganda ranks highly because of how participatory, few issues that our budget or that government, of course through the Minister of Finance, need to focus on as we implement. Because as partners, we've done a lot of research, and these are issues that we want to bring on the table that we think the budget and indeed government need to focus on if we are going to achieve the theme: full monetization services, digital transformation, and market access. Yeah, the first point I want to talk about is corruption. I think now it's becoming a brand that because of the increasing levels of corruption. And of course, corruption, like prostitution, is a vice and cannot be eradicated, like poverty as well, because we talk about poverty reduction. You cannot talk about poverty eradication, but corruption can be reduced to a level that does not actually constrain. Passing through investment, corruption wastes the scarce resources that we have to invest in productive sectors of our economy. Education, we talked about it, education, health, infrastructure. We need this money, and we cannot relax on our fight against corruption. But also political stability in the country. So I think we need to have serious fight against corruption. The other issue, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, that we think we need to focus on is supplementary budgets. I think supplementary budgets also have become endemic in this country, and no wonder. It's an indictment about our planning. Because if the budget takes all this time planning, why do we bring in 2015 as amended? And I think while supplementary budgets are unavoidable, because they are unavoidable, but they can be minimized. I think it has become very, 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 it's like a joke, these supplementary budgets. And I know the PS, when you came in, you said you are going to deal with supplementary budgets. I think, I remember you made a commitment, and I think that commitment should be there, because also a budget is a planning tool. So we need to be planners so that we don't. I don't know whether people use supplementary budgets as part of the corruption. Bring very important thing at the end, and I think the recent example of the population, the census, is a good example, because it takes 10 years to prepare for a census. How can you be bringing supplementary budgets when you have planned for? So Africans and Uganda in particular, we need to plan. Put planning ahead of money. We need to plan. So I've emphasized that one. Of course, my brother has talked about debt sustainability. Maybe the PS, the minister will confirm whether our debt is still sustainable. Because you have good figures, can convince us, but I think we are going back to being a highly indebted country. I know it's a post-COVID issue, but we can be prudent in the appetite. So we talk about curbing appetite for borrowing, but also we know that there are some loans which are not performing. Why do you borrow money when you are not ready to use it? So that's the issue. The other point has to do with limited action on accountability, especially the Auditor General's report. The final point, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, has to do with financing for local governments. This country is well known for implementing a successful decentralization policy since 1987. Of course, the decentralization policy came into place in 1992, and Uganda became a political maker for most countries benchmarking this country. But increasingly, local governments take a small share of the national budget, and yet that's where production takes place. It's at the local government. It's now PDM has taken it further now to the parishes. I think more money, Honorable Minister, PS and team, I think we need to give money to the locals and mayors. They don't have vehicles. They don't have vehicles because we also have an MOU with the Ministry of Local Government. And yet we are sending billions of money. Thank you for sending a lot of money for services. But these politicians have a responsibility for oversight, monitoring services. How would they do it if they don't have vehicles? So my appeal, I know that this is, we have to be careful. We have a limited envelope, but we need to equip the chairpersons, LC5s, and the mayors to be able to follow this money. Otherwise, this money will not is going to be actually misused, mismanaged, and poor services to the citizens is, of course, a consequence. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I want to, on behalf of our court, to show our commitment to budget transparency and accountability, commitment to developing this country. We must develop this country and be proud of this country. As I came in, I come from Mubuwate and Nigeria. We have to wash our cars twice a day, because if you pass there, so I don't know. I think I have seen your vehicle. I think, Honorable Minister, you stay that side. Some here in the city like that. What they did now, they removed all the inconveniencing the tarmac, and now it's a full-scale dust. If we are prudent in managing our resources, we'll be able to tarmac our roads, we'll be able to be proud of this country. I'm now 58. I came back to this country. I used to work I was involved in restarting the peace talks with the LRA. I would be an Under Secretary General at the UN. So I think we need to modernize this country seriously. And the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development is our engine. Let's modernize this country and be proud of this country and bring back our people who are going away. I don't know if some of you have had some families relocating to Canada and other places, I think, and very educated. So we will develop this country. Let's actually modernize, but we can modernize if we are prudent the way we utilize our resources. And for me, from our code, we are committed to promoting this transparency so that these resources can develop this country. And before we go to our creator, there is a modern country to be proud of. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arthur. You are half of Mutuawansi. And Dr. Arthur, I am also happy that you're the one who asked for vehicles, because usually when government says we're going to buy vehicles, we are all asking why. Now it is you, the civil society, asking for vehicles for the local government leaders, the LC5 chair, who have to play their oversight role of government services. I did see, I think, Mr. Aiden Rujumba, our Commissioner of Financial Management Services, also joined us, so we want to welcome you, Aiden. If you're just joining us, you're watching the official launch of the National Budget Month for the financial year 24-25, but also this particular edition includes the Open Budget Survey Report for 2023. I want to now take the pleasure of inviting the Executive Director, UDN, the Uganda Debt Network, to come and make his statement as we enter into this session of the Open Budget Survey Report 2023. Let's welcome him with a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, MC. The Honourable Minister of State for Privatization and Investment, Honourable Anite, the Permanent Secretary, Secretary of State of Treasury, Dr. Munir Silden, officials from DS of government represented here, Honourable Minister, allow me to digress a bit. The previous speeches were all on budget. And today we are launching two aspects. The National Budget Month and the OBS 2023 report. So my speech will mainly focus on the OBS 2023 report. I recognize and I appreciate all participants presented here on this launch of the Open Budget Support for 2023 and the national budget for this occasion, representing the Minister of Finance. We feel very privileged to be with us, Honourable Minister. In the same vein, Honourable Uganda Data Network started being a researcher for the OBS in Uganda. Thank you, Minister of Finance. Under the International Budget Partnership based in Washington for the continued support on the OBS, and in a special way thank the country representative for UNICEF, Dr. Munir Silden, to the budget month processes. Uganda, as far as participation, oversight, transparency are concerned. For purposes of information, our Minister, the Open Budget Survey is the world's only comparative and independent and ready assessment for transparency, oversight, participation, assessed 125 countries. Which of these are home to 95% of the world population in 2022? Honourable Minister, the latest round of Open Budget Survey comes at a turbulent time in civic space and climate change, among others, which have led to serious socioeconomic setbacks for many countries. Where already at least 2 countries on the African continent actually have defaulted on their debt obligations. And at this stage, I want to thank the government of Uganda, Minister of Finance. We are not in that category. Our debt is not in that category. I thank PPSSD and the ministry. In addition, this has been emphasized about public resource decisions it is making and their rationale. In addition, seeking citizens-generated evidence. People have talked about this, that can help in making better decisions that actually reflects people's priorities, the previous socio-economic transformation. As I conclude, Honourable Minister, I have very little time. The citizen socio-economic transformation, as long as the public can meaningfully participate in deeply consequential decisions around how to manage their public resources. I thank you.
Can we once again appreciate Mr. Patrick Tumwebaze, the executive process, and I want to appreciate in a very special, and I want to request that we appreciate UNICEF for supporting this survey. So can we give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? And again, we are managing time because this is a live telecast launch and of course the Open Budget Survey report release, and I need to mention that we will manage the time so that the minister can speak when we are still on TV. It's very difficult for media to extend time when they have given you a specific period within which to broadcast. So I want to invite our country representative UNICEF, Dr. Munir Silden, to come and make
Development, Ms. Anit, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Budget Committee, the Auditor General of the President, permanent secretaries present here, commissioners present, the Executive Director, National Planning Commission, the Secretary General, Uganda Local Government Association, heads of government, MDAs, senior government officials, executives, media representatives, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. First and foremost, for organizing the launch of the 2024-2025 budget month and the release of the open budget survey results for 2023. And allow me to focus on the latter, which is the OBS. The Uganda commendable performance. Uganda ranks first in transparency with a score. The government of Uganda to prioritize the open budget survey score as key indicator of the budget transparency in the National Development Plan 3, fostering better monitoring and accountability. However, from our support to the ministry, primarily due to the delay in publishing critical documents online. The good news is that through the OPS Uganda Debt Network and the support from UNICEF, Uganda is on track to surpass the threshold of 61 out of 100. My congratulations to the Parliament of Uganda and the Office of the Auditor General for their exceptional work in budget oversight. 100 in 2023, which is up from 59 out of 100 in 2021. So congratulations. Despite these successes, there is room for improvement in budget consultations across the national budget continuum, down from 19 out of 100 in 2021. We will continue working with the Ministry of Finance and other partners to strengthen and sustain aspect. Engaging citizens in the budgeting process ensures buy-in and provides a platform for accountability. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't be doing justice for UNICEF and children if I don't link the budget to the well-being of children. And we were speaking with the PSST about this. While discussing the budget, it is crucial to highlight the situation of children in Uganda. The Ugandan children have continuously benefited from so many improvements in the socio-economic, which are also linked to some additional budget allocation, that an opportunity of supporting with financial resources is the fact that at the moment, 82% of the children under the age of 5, some people were saying, what is the significance of that? Birth is counted as a human being who is entitled to all children, and human education is not huge. So my appeal is that we put more money to make sure that every child under the age of 5 years has birth. 6.2 million children are participating in the labor force. They are supposed to be in schools, not in the labor force. Voluntarily, 2.2 million children come to primary one every year, which is almost universal enrollment in primary one. But the dropout is very high. Almost 50% of these children who enroll in primary one, they don't complete primary education up to P7. And that's why we have this large number, 6.2 million children currently in as part of the labor force. 2/3 of new HIV infections are among adolescent girls. 2/3 of new infections of HIV are among adolescent girls. And I think many of you, unsafe sex, where no precautions are taken to protect the persons involved from HIV or protect them from unwanted pregnancy. So this is an area where additional resources will help a lot. Finally, one gap that we hope to be addressed through additional budgetary allocation is the fact that 46% of youth are neither in employment, not in education, nor in training. the so-called NEET, N-E-E-T. So with addition secure, and the Ugandan children will soon be on the road for very productive adulthood. Uganda has the decline in multidimensional child poverty, currently at 44, from the previous figure in 2027, which was in 2017, which was 56, is a testament to these efforts. However, we must continue to invest more to ensure all children transition safely into productive adulthood. UNICEF believes the national budget is a powerful tool for realizing development goals. However, we observe that current resource allocations for health and education remain suboptimal at less than 10% of each of these total resources envelope. So as we know, there are threshold kind of agreements. For education, we expect countries like Uganda to spend around 20% of annual budget on education, which is currently not the case. Currently, Uganda spends less than 10% on education. And education is a very critical area of work, simply because it's where we prepare young people for the future of the country. And as I mentioned, you have a wide interest among the public to bring their children to school. Almost 2.2 million is universal enrollment. This is amazing, but with money for social protection. With the figures we have mentioned, or I have mentioned, with regard to the fact that 44% of the people of Uganda are multidimensionally poor, with additional allocation to social protection, poverty levels can be reduced. And once poverty levels are reduced, children will be freed from the labor they are engaged in, and they will be back in school. And Uganda has been one of the pilot countries, or the first runners to declare not only universal primary education in the 1990s, but a commitment to work very closely with you, to support you in your endeavor to achieve the well-being of every Ugandan and every child that live in Uganda. Thank you very much, and congratulations on the remarkable achievements on the Open Budget Survey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Munir Safuddin, the country representative UNICEF, for your remarks. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to prepare you that the chair, but he assured me that on the floor of Parliament, I think they get 3 minutes, and he always made sure he delivered his presentation in 3 minutes. So the Honorable Fred Obach, you're welcome to make your presentation. He will be giving us the results of the Open Budget Survey Report 2023 with a call.
The Honorable Minister of State for Finance, in charge of privatization and investment, who is also holding the portfolio. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, I'm happy to be home because I see a number of friends from the Ministry of Finance. And when I walked in here with both elbows out, DST Patrick Ochaila asked, "Are you back?" And I only smiled back. I'm only here to present to the nation Uganda's Open Budget Survey's results for 2023. And I would like to thank all the partners who have made it possible for Uganda Debt Network to make this survey, and we've been doing from outside the country. Now, is the presentation on, is it on? If not, what I'm going to do, just to give you the background, introduction, transparency, public participation, budget oversight, and overall ranking in the 10 minutes that have been given. The government budget decisions have important consequences for all people in society, whether it be taxation, whether it be service provision, and how much debt to take. These are very important issues, Honorable Minister. When governments provide information and meaningful channels for public, and you are giving some of your areas of priorities, maybe you should also include the demographic dividend, which was launched, I think, in 2017. The youth in Uganda now, the number is increasing every year. The population is growing at 3%. And if it is 3% of 50 million people, Honorable Minister, that means about 1.5 million people every year. That means Ugandans are not sleeping. Now, the Open Budget Survey assessment for formal opportunities offered to the public for meaningful participation in the different stages of the budget process, it examines the practices of the central government executive, the legislature, the supreme and institutions which do the budgets, I mean the audit functions. Using 18 equally weighted indicators aligned with the Global Initiative for Fiscal Transparency, Principles of Public Participation in Fiscal Policies, and it scores each country on a scale of 0 to 100. And this 9th edition that we are launching today of the Open Budget Survey covered 25 countries, as you have already been told. And I'm happy that Dr. Monir, Honorable Minister, has explained to you in the case of transparency that Uganda has done very well. In the East Africa, we were the best. We were number one. Globally, out of the 125 countries, we ranked 44, which is quite commendable. However, we need to improve. Last year, we were at 58, and this year we moved to 59, which is still below 61%, so that we now move to adequate. And Honorable Minister, I am quite confident that Uganda can actually go to 65%, so that we are not only the best in East Africa, but also maybe in the global world we become maybe number 10 in the whole world. Now, what changed in the OBS for 2023? Uganda has increased the availability of budget information by publishing the enacted budget online in a timely manner. However, Uganda has decreased in the availability of budget information by failing to publish the citizens' budget online in a timely manner. So it is our request that we move in that direction. Then, still on the transparency, we believe that Uganda can actually do much better, as I've already said earlier. And then if we can move from that position of 59 and go to the position of 65, as I've mentioned earlier. Then, Honorable Minister, what are the recommendations on the transparency? Now, number one, Uganda should prioritize the following actions to improve budget transparency. One, publish the citizens' budget online in timely manner. The citizens' budget should be published online in the same timeline and time frame as the document is simplified. Two, include the executive budget proposal dates, data on the financial position of the government, and data on the macroeconomic forecast. This includes publishing the information on non-financial assets held by the government, estimates of the expenditure in arrears, and information on contingent and future liabilities. Furthermore, Honorable Minister, the executive budget proposal should include information that shows how all new policy proposals affect expenditure and revenue, and on how the proposed budget links to the government policy goals for the budget year and subsequent ones. Three, Honorable Minister, include in the year-end report comparisons between borrowing estimates and actual outcomes, and comparisons between the original macroeconomic forecast and actual outcomes. This has been lacking to some extent, and this we need to come on board. Furthermore, improve on the content. Now, the open budget survey for oversight, which mainly involves members of parliament, and I hope that the members of parliament are here. The open budget survey examines the role that legislators and the audit institutions play in the budget process and the extent to which they provide oversight. Each country is scored on, again, a scale of 0 to 100, and it is based on 18 equally weighted indicators. In addition to the survey, they collect supplementary information on independent fiscal institutions. Now, the legislature and the audit institution in Uganda together this year, Honorable Minister, they scored an average of 67% out of 100%. And I think this was commendable, 78. So there is need for Parliament to improve on this, although we are at the adequate level, but there is need for us to move to a much higher one, and possibly if Parliament can also move to 70%, we'll appreciate. And what do we recommend in regarding the oversight function? Number one, the Uganda's Parliament provides adequate oversight during the planning stage of the budget cycle and weak oversight during the implementation stage. To further improve oversight, the following actions should be promoted and prioritized by Parliament. Number one, guest of honor, the legislative committee should examine. Two, in practice, ensure the legislature is consulted before the executive shifts funds specified in the act which came in 2015. So when they move this and then spend any unanticipated revenue, the spending of any unauthorized anticipated revenue, or reduces spending due to revenue shortfalls during the budget year. And I'm happy that my colleague, Doctor, mentioned something about these supplementaries. Then they should strengthen the independence and improve audit outside oversight by the Uganda Office of the Auditor General, and the following actions are recommended despite the fact that they scored 78%. Ensure the Supreme Audit Institution has adequate funding to perform its duties. And again, this is subject to members of Parliament ensuring that adequate funding is given to the Office of the Auditor General. And then ensure audit processes are reviewed by an independent agency. Again, this becomes important so that the independence of the audit and also those other independent entities are able to double check on what is required. Now, Honorable Minister, the public participation, this is where Uganda did much very, very low, and members of the media, I think, take this quite seriously. The Outward Budget Survey assesses the formal opportunities offered by the public for meeting the Auditor Generals and its other institutions. Again, using 18 equally weighted indicators aligned with the Global Initiative for Fiscal Transparency Principles or public participation on fiscal policies, and scores each country on a scale of 0 to 100. Now, in the case of Uganda, this one I'm telling it to you only, don't let your neighbor hear. It's just for you only. Uganda, as a public participating, scored 15 out of 100. Don't let your neighbor hear. Which puts us in the least category, which is few, the least category. So it has been a decline. Last year, at least, we had gone up to 31%. Now imagine dropping from 31% to 15%. How can you allow the whole nation to hear this? But on a more positive way, the globe, because the role, like you've seen, of the press, the media, is important. So we are calling upon Ugandans through your office to ensure that the participation of the public in the budget process is enhanced. If it could come to at least 61%, we would really be very appreciative. And so, to the extent that we request that the recommendation for the public participation, the Uganda's Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, which you heard, has established pre-budget deliberations during budget formulation and the e-consultations during budget implementation, but to further strengthen public participation in the budget process, and this should also prioritize the following action, Honorable Minister. Number one, expand mechanisms during budget formulation and implementation to engage any civil society organization or a member of the public who wishes to talk about them. If you are going to talk about the fact that the children are not being given much, as Dr. Munir has said, so say it. Organization representing them. Number three, Uganda's parliament should prioritize the following actions. One, allow members of the public or civil society organizations to the committees and engage them. Two, allow members of the public audit report. And in most cases, when they are handling audit reports, the public is not brought on board. Number three, Uganda's Office of the Auditor General has established mechanisms for the public to assist in developing its audit program. It should prioritize the following action to improve public participation in the budget process. Establish a formal mechanism for the public to contribute to relevant audit investigations. And finally, Honorable Minister, I've used 7 minutes. I'm still left with 3. While Uganda, these are now overall comments, while Uganda is among the best in East Africa at the global scene, we really need to improve, mostly especially in terms of public participation, which was at 15%. Two, moreover, that is where citizens fall most. We need to ensure that in subsequent surveys, we do better than weak, and preferably for all in the adequate category, if we can move there, because on average of 47 still remains in limited, but if we could go to 61, 62, so that we go to a better. Then three, we thank government for the openness and availability to openly avail information that ultimately resulted in this report. And of course, as my friend was saying, it used to be, before I think, Honourable Minister, you were born, effective midnight tonight, the price of paraffin has gone up 1,000%. We are not consulted, and most of the people at that time were using this cardamom. But effective midnight, nobody is consulted. And it was worse with the revenue side. And I think, Honourable Minister, there is need to consult the public more on the revenue side. We are consulting very well on the expenditure side, but on the revenue side, and I'm happy that the Commissioner General of URA is here, there is need for more consultation so that we widen the tax base. When we consult, and if there are people who are evading, these are the same people who will tell you these are the people who are evading. We are going to attack them ourselves on their behalf. So, as UDN, Uganda Debt Network, we are very happy to have been selected to champion this research over the years, and we are glad to have seen all the journey through and how far we have now come. And as you launch these two, Honourable Minister, we thank you for the good work we are doing. We thank you for taking Uganda to the state of nation census has come out, so that whether you are going to rebase or you are going to do what, we are aware of the actual figures. With these few remarks, I thank you for honoring this with your presence, and I thank all of you for fully participating. May God bless you all.
May we once again appreciate the Honorable Fred March and his presentation. I can assure you there were 100 pages, and he's found a way of presenting this in 8.5 minutes. Well done, Honorable. And so I won't waste any time. I will now invite the Honorable Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to come make her statement. Immediately after her statement, we'll launch the National Budget Month and of course the Open Budget Survey report for 2023. Can we welcome her with a round of applause?
Thank you very much. Those of you who stood up, please, I'm not a Saudi chief, so it's okay. You didn't have to stand. But allow me observe the protocols. The country rep of UNICEF, Ramadan Gobi, all the government officials, all the different government heads of institutions present, the head of civil society organizations. I want to launch the budget survey report or the national budget month for the financial year 2024-2025. But before I read the formals, he has given me the privilege, which is an uphill task, to actually hold fort for the last 7 days now, and I still have additional 5 days to be holding the fort of Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. For a long time, I kept on avoiding being delegated the responsibility of Minister of Finance, because that responsibility, that's why you've been seeing me in industrial parks, making sure that Ugandans become wealthy, and that has been my business. But I want to tell you, it has not been funny or fun. I told the minister, yes, abroad, because I think the minister is like a clearinghouse. I picked my phone and called the PSST, and I'm like, PS, why don't you make these people just sit on a TV or on the internet and just attend the conferences like that? And PS told me some of them are very necessary, so you just select the ones which are very important and others tell them to stay. I will stand with you. So PS, I thank you for that. And I want to congratulate the PS for one thing. I also thought that he has the right attitude. The permanent secretary, I walked in his office, he showed me a big safe, which is like 3 different or 5 levels. And he opened like this and said, all these are supplementary requests from different countries. Before I read Honorable Matia's speech, I felt like you're glozing or romancing with corruption. I want to ask the civil society, because you're the one going to save us. For me, who is an ardent supporter of NRM, I am embarrassed with what is happening in the country. The corruption is making us to be very unpopular. We are tired. I am fatigued. Even when you drink water, our money. I mean, because the citizens are aware that we are eating their money. They are tired. They're about to stone us. And PSST, before you officially got appointed as the Secretary of Treasury, you made a statement about the people who build long, high-wall fences at the neighborhood of the poor people. PS, I want to tell you, when I arrived in finance, I chose the path of fighting corruption. And I started fighting vehemently, and perhaps that's the reason why my brother is now trying to check the neighborhood before he says, this corruption must stop. Because I was the lepers who hung the bell on their neck. So every time I was coming, you'd see people talking, but all of a sudden they just go mute because Anita has arrived. Because they know she would actually say it out. Then I didn't know that friends, relatives, the corrupt are so connected that they will hate you as a group. That even your friends will hate you. And you lose friends because you have really said something about corruption. But friends, fellow citizens, as we launch this budget, I want to say that let the whole country rise up, and civil society, our eyes on you, because you have nothing to lose. Nobody is voting for you. What is it? When I was growing up, the wrongdoers on your back, in my local language, they call them tongo tongo, because they make your back you would get like as if it's malaria, but if they inject you with malaria treatment, you actually would die. And they will parade them in the whole village, and they will be singing, "Amatongo tongo ebe, amoso moso moso." That we are wizards, we are witchcraft, we are killing people. Here we are, and everyone will run away from them. So I want to say that these corrupt people, let's name them one by one. tie them with a rope, and move them, parade them on City Square. I'm the corrupt person, here I am, I'm the corrupt accountant. I can assure you this corruption will stop. No need for the strings, because I'm told recently it was budgeted for chasing away locusts, 1 billion, and they say, Anita, why are you asking this question? You keep quiet. I mean, but the truth is, Permanent Secretary, you've done your part, budgeted very well. The challenge now will come at the implementation stage. And as we're doing the implementation, I was actually discussing with a country rep of UNICEF. I was telling him, okay, you've given us the transparency score. And you say we are ranging at 59% on transparency, meaning that we are actually uploading and giving all the information. How are we faring on the corruption front? Because in East Africa, we are number 1 on corruption, on the transparency. How about the corruption front? So he told me, no, that's a different body. I think I would have to find out. So PS, my question to this room here is, who is responsible for the corruption scorecard? Because we need to give it. And I want to tell you, as I conclude my remarks, everyone is saying, when you tell them that we're going to build a standard gauge railway, they say, they've lost confidence. But I want to tell you, don't lose all the hope. There is a message of hope. But as we do that, let's have a two-pronged approach. Let's fight the corruption, all of us. And I want to tell you where to start fighting the corruption. The accounting officers of all the ministries, departments, and agencies, they are the ones who are actually dispensing the money. If you're an accounting officer in this room and I can see you, please put up your hand. Because we want to see you, because the budget says we are sending the money to you. Can you see? They're not putting up the hand. Peers. There is the one of finance, there's another one here. These are the people. When we announce the budget, the money doesn't stay with him. The money doesn't stay in the treasury. It is sent to these accounting officers. So I want to ask the civil society, first list all the name of accounting officers, plus the amount of money going to them, then start checking them one by one. Who has spent what and where has it gone for? That is transparency, that is accountability, and that is going to fight and reduce corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to quarrel. Let me read his speech. I take this opportunity to welcome you all to officially launch the National Budget Month for the financial year 2024-2025 and the Open Budget Survey Report 2023. Globally, all governments
driving business.
Luxury redefined at CSAN Hotel.